when I was talking about this entire Bharosa conversation, basically the brand campaign that was recently launched, and the Bharosa Tum Ho being the key campaign idea, again centers around this trust deficit, and uh, there is one clear difference that we want to kind of call out here as well, that a lot of brand, right? Bharosa is sort of one conversation that a lot of brands are having. However, Axis Max Life Insurance chose to kind of focus on the bharosa of the family individual versus again kind of pointing or converging the bharosa to itself, which is more manufacturer driven. We kind of chose this because we understand that brands that are again focused on their own purpose of solving customer cultural problems is something that is something that helps them in the long run versus just kind of doing tom-tom about themselves. I think that's been the kind of modus operandi in this case as well. In the Bharosa Tum Ho campaign as well. So there are a couple of objectives that we had kept in mind before we kind of planned this entire campaign. One of the objectives was to also, what I mentioned earlier, is to build the brand further into tier 2, tier 3 markets, especially south markets, specifically where the brand has a lot of opportunity and room for growth. uh, and hence the entire campaign centered around the celebrity Rohit Sharma and Ritika's Sajdeh's kind of real life moments, and how they trust each other in their day-to-day lives, with either chores or in general kind of long-term financial planning as well. Uh, when I talk about the specific campaign, there are two specific films that we've launched in in the 7 week campaign. One was focusing around again showcasing Rohit Sharma as somebody who's a modern father, who's not just a provider in the traditional sense, but also somebody who's also nurturer, right? As much as the woman of the family is, or the mother of the family is, and that's what kind of is builds the bharosa of the partner in each other, and hence the brand proposition is taken forward with that. In the second film, we've tried to again build a certain jugalbandi between this celebrity couple and a new name on the board, which is Allu Sirish, as I mentioned earlier, to focus a little more on towards the southern regional markets where we have a lot of room for growth. The idea is again to focus on the life's uncertainty with a very positive and progressive conversation and not fear mongering, and hence the entire setup is around how do we really talk about some of these eventualities in a positive framework, and that's what we've been able to do with the brand. As far as the campaign, the specific indicators of what the campaign has done for the brand. One, it has obviously improved brand searches across the market, specifically in the south. It has also helped us enhance our overall engagement scores, whether on social or on the customer experience communications that we do in general. Apart from that, however, it has also led us to kind of build on our typical mind measures of the consumer, which is brand consideration, and on the business side, it has led us to kind of reduce our cost of acquisition further in on the digital side. So those are some of the objectives that we have in mind, and this is how we've kind of uh, elevated our again core promise of bharosa with the brand campaign. Yeah.
What kind of data or conversion metrics you can share that will numerically prove the success or something?
Sorry, can you ask us specifically what kind of data are you looking at?
Around this Bharosa Tum Ho campaign, like how has it performed? If you can share
So,
some
if I were
data
to
to support.
share some of the specific matrices like brand consideration, so we've seen a 5 to 7% of jump in the brand consideration. Overall cost of acquisition over the years, not just specific to the campaign, but with Rohit Sharma and Ritika Sajdeh coming over, have reduced not to 25 to 30% over the period of time, and also the brand imagery of trust has also kind of enhanced over the period of time. So that also is there. Thanks for asking that question. I think that's my favorite one. See, in a category like life insurance where there are 24 players, I think the first question to ask myself is, as a brand lead, is that whether or not do I need a celebrity? I think with so much of clutter in the communication and as I mentioned, 24 players trying to kind of get the mind share of the consumer. We've kind of tried this in a relatively effective and efficient manner, and hence celebrity conversations have always been on the table. Eventually, we were able to actually get Rohit Sharma and Ritika Sajdeh as a couple onboarded 4 years back for the brand. The reason again is both side. It's like one on one side there is relatively better brand recognition and overall ad matrices that kind of come into play. On the other side, there is also a fairly significant advantage that we get on the digital side on our cost of acquisition that I've mentioned in the previous question as well. Uh, Specifically, why Rohit and Ritika? Again, in a country which is obsessed with cricket, politics, and entertainment, I think the captain of the Indian cricket team, erstwhile captain of the Indian cricket team, was also always on the cards. When it comes to specifically Rohit and Ritika, I think there is one, obviously, their popularity amongst the entire country. It cuts across the regions, it cuts across all the no demographics when it comes to even age group or men or women. But also what we get as an advantage or as a key strategic point for the brand is the balance that they both bring. While Rohit on one side is a very highly performance oriented person, a very calm and a cool leader when it comes to cricketing world, and Ritika on the other side brings in that emotional depth to the brand. She also is fairly relatable, and their story as somebody who's kind of built their futures together is very much present and aware, and the audience are very well aware of that. So that's the kind of reason that helped us kind of zero in on this couple. We always wanted that as a brand we want to focus on diverse audience of ours, and hence the couple kind of brings that freshness to our brand, definitely. Apart from that, see, there are few reasons that also kind of give us advantageous position. One, their life stage itself kind of helps us appeal to the specific millennial audience, the smart millennial audience that we generally appeal to. The time that we onboarded them, they had one kid. In fact, in the recent campaign, they now have they've kind of improved, increase, enhance their families as well. So now the whole point of appealing to the millennials, life insurance is also life stage based, and hence picking up the specific celebrity couple that are pretty much of the similar life stage was the second. Third is, I think, the entire balance that they bring onto the table with the kind of narratives that they've built in on their social presence as well. I think that really helps us a lot when it comes to even kind of crafting the communication, the typical humorous and light hearted banters that we have in our campaigns are pretty much realistic when you look at look at those from a consumer point of view, a typical audience point of view. Yeah. And as I mentioned in the previous question, that both of them have really helped our brand grow over the period of time, whether it's from the performance point of view or even from the pure play brand matrices point of view. So, Antora, I think this is one definite kind of word, or I would say opportunity, that every other brand is talking of these days, and it's a part of the boardroom conversations across. Gen Z is definitely a stated strategic priority for the organization, for the brand. And why is it so? Because they are the fastest growing, as you also mentioned, in terms of the new workforce. They are pretty much, they are very, they don't shy away from spending, whether it's, financial instruments or even for their own lifestyle. so that high spending kind of capability also makes them one of the unique and important segments for all the brands, whether it's our industry or even industries beyond. We have been doing some of our thought leadership platforms. I don't know if you've heard of them. There is something called as India Protection Quotient and India Retirement Index Survey. These are part of our thought leadership, conversations which are branded as Bharosa Talks, and are very relevant for all of these segments, including the Gen Zs. Our research, which is again over the last 5 years, around 25, 30,000 audiences that we've spoken to, shows us how Gen Z themselves are very proactive when it comes to financial planning. We may not be able to peg them equal to the millennials. However, they are still growing up when it comes to one, proactive financial planning, not just with life insurance, but across all the other important instruments as well. Uh, Gen Z specifically, have this entire mindset of keeping their midterm goals, over other things, right? When I say midterm goals, these are things like planning to buy a car, maybe planning to buy a house, and especially travel. A lot of Gen Zs, want to spend major on travels, even though if they don't have money, even though if they have to take loans on. The way kind of brand is trying to connect with them is obviously one is educating them and creating awareness around life insurance as a product that not just helps you plan for your midterm goals but also the long term ones, right? Beyond that, if you talk about financial protection, see a lot of people, I think, talk about life insurance in totality, but I think when I break it down, there are multiple specific categories to life insurance as a product, right? There is protection, which is pure protection that if something was to happen to the breadwinner of the family, then there is a substantial amount that is given to the family in the in to protect them from their life's financial any risks that come in the future. The second part is around saving for these midterm goals, as I mentioned, whether buying a house or buying a no typical, again, a simple consumer durable or even car, something that kind of suits your lifestyle. And I think all of these conversations, when I talk about some of these goals, are pretty much linked to how proactively you are planning, not just a product in investing in the product that gives you fast returns, but also a product that will keep you risk free for the longest while of your lifespan. Gen Zs who are relatively currently aged maybe less than 30 are yet to enter some of those life stages where they will be having kids, they will also be nearing their retirement. And hence, the importance of life insurance is going to be really heightened at that point in time. And hence, we want to tell them that you start early so that you take the advantage of relatively lower premiums because the risk on your life is much lower, right? So, those are the kind of conversations we are trying to have with the Gen Zs. How are we having those conversations are a bit different from how we would have done for millennials. So in our last year, we did a campaign with one of the top influencers called Pile Gaming, again, who's a part of the Gen Z community, who kind of again is able to really cut that cord and obviously be very connected to the Gen Zs, and hence is able to turn around the conversation in a very lighter and smarter way, right? So those are the kind of ways we are doing those bandis with our millennial audiences as well as our Gen Z audiences, to tell them about how important it is to, while you go for returns, you go for kind of risky products, it's your call, but also kind of keep your back safe, keep yourself again risk free in the long run, is what we are trying to do. There are certain awareness platforms like the Yuva that we've been again year on year doing some of the conversations with. Yuva is a typical platform that is very makes the conversation much more lighter. When it comes to again some of these money conversation, we invite some of these Gen Z influencers and have those conversations around money. Not necessarily life insurance, but how do you really plan about your overall finances, and how do you really go about securing yourself and your family in the future. So again, light-hearted kind of content pieces, uh, very relatable influencers stroke platforms stroke communities, and some of the platform some of the specific media handles where Gen Zs are attuned to be present, and hence digital would become our preference when we want to talk to the Gen Zs. So those are the ways we are trying to again drive traction with the Gen Zs. There is this platform that we have, awareness platform that we have, that's called Bharosa Talks, and through the means of Bharosa Talks, we do get a lot of responses and an understanding of how these markets, in the tier 2 and tier 3 are different from, let's suppose, a tier 1 or a metro market. And there is a clear understanding that while there is a decent heightened awareness of life insurance as a category within these markets, there is still a gap in the ownership, right? When it comes to people do understanding have understood the role of life insurance, they still are reluctant to make that final call and actually buy life insurance for themselves. Especially when I talk about the term insurance, again, there is awareness that is increasing. However, ownership still lags behind in the tier 2 and tier 3 markets. Our approach has been, again, it goes through multiple levels of again engagement and awareness activities. On one level, with these platforms, whether with the Bharosa Talks platforms, where we reach out to media houses like yours and try and create awareness around the product through our organic engagements with them. And there are certain insights that I was sharing with you. We go out and reach out to them about telling them these about these insights, and also maybe pushing them to take an action, right? That's the one leg of our engagement with the tier 2 tier 3 markets. The second, when I spoke to you about the brand refresh, uh, enhancing the brand equity in these tier 2 tier 3 markets is also one of the key goals that we have kept for ourselves. And its entire brand refresh activity, from Max Life Insurance to Access Max Life Insurance, is pretty much has been activated on those lines itself. Because the erstwhile Max Life Insurance brand was fairly kind of up there when it comes to tier 1 and metro markets, because we had that room for growth in the tier 2 and tier 3 markets. And hence we said that a brand identity that's backed by two financial institutes will always be much more better. And given the access scale, that has helped us improve our brand consideration scores in the last one or odd years when we had conducted this activity. Beyond that, on the ground itself, there are certain specific initiatives like the Arohan, where we are expanding our reach through our regional offices in the tier 2 and tier 3, because we believe there is still merit in a face to face or a kind of physical interaction. And that's why our offices are going to kind of aid that with the help of again the opportunity that is lying there. Last but not the least, I think we are also a part of this entire insurance for all by 2047 kind of mission by the government. And we've also been actively doing our part in creating awareness in the tier 2 tier 3 and rural markets under this umbrella called state insurance plan in the specific states of UP and Arunachal, right? So all of those multiple engagements, all of those multiple kind of approaches and some of our outreaches are eventually helping us build that awareness, build the education, and kind of reduce the gap between awareness and the ownership of life insurance as a category. That's an interesting place to be, actually, because currently the way media is evolving, the integrated marketing efforts is a bare necessity, and hence that's what Axis Max Life Insurance pretty much believes in. See, our media strategy is pretty much anchored, in the consumer first approach. We try and be screen agnostic, right? Our preference definitely happens towards larger screen when it comes to top funnel initiatives or efforts, and we do go wide across when it comes to specific, bottom funnel efforts. How I will tell you, one by one. See, on the traditional side, we do kind of, offer our major campaigns. We do use the linear TV, the connected TV, and the print and the OOH, which pretty much, establish the brand's credibility on a wide and the large, real estate. On the digital side, there is, a kind of fair high investments on search, quick commerce, and also discovery platforms like the social media itself. See, one of the main reasons why television also holds importance for us is because, one, it kind of gives us a good scale, but also it brings in a lot of trust and credibility, which is pretty much quintessential in a category like ours. In fact, we were talking about this in the previous question as well. However, given the kind of surge in the internet adoption, in the consumers are moving towards the digital, and hence there is a major business model that we have around D2C business, which is where for our performance marketing efforts, the search, the social, and the video platforms like YouTube become really important for us. Why? Because these are the places where we get a direct and very close conversions, and hence kind of the entire funnel becomes effective and kind of efficient for us. Over the years, yes, the investments from the traditional have gradually moved towards digital, and a large pie still continues to be digital because of the way consumers are moving and consuming the content in the digital and the traditional platforms. As I was mentioning, there is also a big leg of influencer marketing that we are highly invested on. Influencer marketing also brings in a lot of relatability and trust, specifically, for different segments like the younger audiences or even the regional audiences that I was talking about, whether it is South or Tier 2, Tier 3 markets. In terms of genres, cricket, GC, news are the main genres that we generally try and invest more on when it comes to top of the funnel and mid funnel efforts. However, when it comes to digital, because of the audience based targeting, we are pretty much there where our my audience intent is, right. So that's how it gets placed. One more important part is on the measurement, because all of these media vehicles are something that uh, kind of constitute our overall integrated media mix. It is also important for us to kind of look at the effectiveness of each of these mediums on the brand as well as on the business, and hence we divide our overall kind of measurement framework into three tiers. There are mind metrics, which are pretty much brand salience and consideration. Then there are action metrics, something like a brand search. When you look at an ad and when you get exposed to a certain brand communication, whether or not you are converting that into an action, something like a brand search is something that is a pretty much a middle funnel action metric for us. On the bottom funnel side, on the business side, as I mentioned earlier, we are highly focused on reducing the customer acquisition cost and also improvising on the customer sentiment for our entire lifetime, kind of relationships. On the influencer side, there are specific genres that we kind of invested more on. There is definitely finance. There is also parenting and food and poetry, because some of these kind of help us keep a balance between a rational as well as an emotional kind of connect with the end customers. So I'll tell you, these days those lines have blurred, and marketing pretty much and business are kind of directed towards one simple goal. Actually, both business as well as brand building is something that both the engines are doing. So if I were to kind of completely delineate and say that the business is only focused on getting the bottom funnel conversions, I think I won't be right, because for us the digital spends and specifically our D2C business is also driving brand consideration and awareness and so on and so forth. when you look at the traditional spends, they are also helping us not just driving brand consideration, but also to drive business. When I mentioned about those action related metrics, while digital is a business line for us, hence it is always on. Traditional specifically comes in at very specific kind of junctures throughout the year. We are a brand that tries to focus on efficient media spends. And when I say efficient media spends, there are very specific pockets that we see that there is a higher consumer intent around, and there is a cleaner window that we get as far as the category is concerned, and we try and spend on the top of the funnel efforts around those specific pockets. So as I mentioned, there will not be any specific number if I were to kind of give you around between digital and the traditional media mix. It kind of keeps on evolving over the entire year. But yes, digital happens to be pretty much always on strategy for us.
Okay. But anything you would like to say about the overall, percentage that is allocated to marketing from the revenue?
See, in terms of the split, I could
Usually
say it
it's
could
quite
go
consistent.
anywhere as digital is always on. There are certain months where digital is no kind of pulsing, and the marketing traditional is not pulsing. We could say it could go anywhere from a 1 to 6 to sort of kind of 1 to 10 when I talk about traditional to digital kind of a split in the spends. Yes, the world is moving towards AI, and we do understand. But I think I'll just go back to the context of life insurance and the way the life insurance model has been built, right? Uh, I don't know if you remember over a couple of decades back, life insurance model was completely physical, right? There would be people who would reach out to their social networks. These are advisors, agent advisors, and then source business kind of from their natural market. There's a very high level of trust that you have in your social network, and hence the easy kind of way in which they were able to establish trust with their end prospect or customer was relatively much easier compared to a digital world today, right? Why do I give you this context? Because over the years, right, this entire life insurance journey has now gradually moved from being completely physical to phygital right now, right? When I say phygital, there are certain specific, kind of tasks or specific work streams that are being completely driven by digital, which are most likely back end, right? However, some of the front end kind of, conversations where life insurance being a very high human touch category are still continue to be a more of a human touch kind of model. It could be a human touch via physical face-to-face interactions. It could also be a human touch via an online conversation, right? However, we do believe that there is a fine balance that the enterprise needs to maintain when it comes to customer experience over this physical and the typical digital model. Talking of specific digital enhancements that have happened over the years, I'd like to give you some specific examples that the way Axis Max Life Insurance has actually evolved the customer journeys. So there is Gen AI and WhatsApp based servicing, which helps the end consumer to kind of get information regarding the products and the services, whether you are planning to purchase or you're already an existing customer of the company. When you're planning to purchase, you're looking for more and more information, education about some of the products, because life insurance being a bit more complex category. Hence, some of these, direct communication engines help us build a relatively better trust with the customers. Secondly, when you're already an existing customer, it becomes really important to keep on engaging with the customer for a long period, because life insurance, as I told you earlier, is almost a 20 to 30 years relationship. And hence, it is important to find those, little opportunities to connect with the consumers, to connect with the customers, and to also try and at least, build some kind of rapport even beyond you purchase the policy with the Axis Max Life Insurance. So some of these, specific engines help us define as to which are the customers that we should be reaching out to, whether for just an engagement, just an experience, or an education, or even beyond, for an upsell or a cross sell as well, right? There are certain specific initiatives that we have even on the physical side, if you ask, that have somehow now started to turn a bit more digital. Is the regular customer engagement that we do on a monthly basis. The program is called Super Customer Week, and there is also a digital version available with us. So we try and at least balance, how do we really every month reach out to our customer, provide them with some valuable information, either around life insurance or even topics that are related to life insurance like health or wellness, right? Uh, Going forward, there is also a multilingual chat bot called Miri that helps us enable real-time query resolutions, whether it is around, again, as I mentioned, of understanding certain products, or even changing or modifying your policy data or information with the company. So all of these AI models pretty much make this conversation seamless. One of the most important kind of thing that we are trying to do is the transition between the AI bots and a human interaction. So imagine, Antora, if you're trying to purchase the policy and you are deep into, let's suppose, a conversation with an AI bot to understand what the product entails, there could also be a seamless shift to a human if you're not able to kind of or you need more assistance. So those kind of seamless transitions are also something that we are actively working towards. But we also do understand, as I mentioned earlier, in the category that we are, there is a very sensitive kind of part, which is again, as I mentioned, death or death related claims. We try and keep those kind of interactions completely physical or human touch based. We understand that at a point where some of these conversations trigger, we don't want our customers to be interacting with a bot or, let's suppose, a machine. We want a human to be there to help them in such kind of for time of theirs, right? Just to give you an example, for claims specifically, while the front end would largely be direct interaction or a human touch enabled model, the back end efficiencies is what we've been able to build strongly with the Gen AI models that we've been kind of working over the years. So that particular front end versus back end is kind of face for the customer is something that we are very delicately dealing with. So that's what pretty much defines how customer experience kind of evolves for Axis Max Life. As a result of our concerted efforts, I'm happy to share that this year we've been no, we've been ranked one in the Indian insurers for our customer experience by a study that Hansa's research has published. So we've scored very high on the NPS of the customers in the life insurance industry. So some of these balance are really helping us define the new age customer experience. It's that Axis Max is going to drive. Rightly mentioned. See, the life insurance category in India is still, I would say, uh, fairly low penetrated. You calculate by any means, I think uh, it's still somewhere around 3.5 to 4 percentage of the overall GDP, and there is a lot of work that is there to do. I think first to understand there are certain specific barriers to the life insurance purchase which we must kind of address in order to kind of again in the future expand some of the efforts that we are doing to increase the category or increase the kind of penetration of this category. See, one, there is, as I mentioned earlier to you, there is a complexity of the product. We do understand life insurance is not an easy to understand financial instrument, and there is work that we are doing in simplifying the products, and there is also work that we are doing to build products that are very, very segment focused. So, for example, you may find that there are products available or a proposition available for a niche segment, as niche as a student, right? who may not be earning right now but still can buy a term insurance policy now with the kind of certain specific operational efficiencies that we've been able to build. Second, life insurance, as much we like or not like, it is a very long term commitment for a 20 to 30 years. When you have to kind of be related to a company, I think such long relationships are found only in marriages, and pretty much what life insurance demands, and there's a reason behind it, because life insurance is meant for building your long term goals, and hence we do require some commitments when it comes to investment into some of these products. So that again, having said that, given the long-term commitments that the life insurance has, our job here is to give confidence to the customer that your money is safe with us, your money is being invested. We try and be transparent around where the investments are going, what are the charges, if at all there are any being levied, and we also pretty much keep the customers engaged over this entire 20 to 30 years term. Third, I think there is delayed gratification in a life insurance product. In fact, gratification in some kind of products is not even there in your lifetime when you talk about term insurance plans. So again, there is a certain hesitation, and there is a certain need of the no pro- of the prospect, that what is in it for me? If I am not getting any gratification during my lifetime, what is in it for me? And hence, some of the products that we've been able to design, which kind of address this kind of a concern of the customer, are also pretty much helping us. So there is something called as return of premium in a term insurance. A term insurance plan typically pays at the on the death of the policyholder. However, this particular plan pays you even if you survive throughout the policy term. And hence, the role of marketing, or the job of marketing, is also to communicate the right product to the right person, and some of these concerns get kind of pretty much addressed there. Last but not the least, I think several ones, death as a conversation is not done in households, and hence, pretty much life insurance as a concept itself kind of gets kind of deprioritized in the conversations. You do know that in India, death as a conversation either appears when there is a death in the vicinity, or maybe it appears only at a time when somebody triggers a conversation around with you, right? And hence, our job is to find those opportunities and find those specific platforms where we can actually take these conversations to the larger masses and make them talk about some of these no specific issues in a positive but no very rational way. And that's what we are trying to do with the thought leader platforms like India Protection Quotient or India Retirement Index survey. Beyond this, we also spoke about how no beyond we are going beyond some of the specific set segments to newer segments, underpenetrated segments, whether it's women or specifically Gen Zs, or even for that matter self-employed, who currently do not find as much value in the term insurance plans. I think with all of these efforts, we will be able to kind of achieve a target that the government of India has set for all life insurers, about getting insurance for all by 2047. And that's the intent, and the efforts are pretty much being diverted towards that. There are certain areas that are pretty much evolving, and marketing and access max life insurance specifically, we've learned over the period of time and are focusing more towards. See, one, what I mentioned earlier is that life insurance category in India is expanding wide, right? So no more metro and tier one. We are wanting to go beyond that. So tier two and tier three markets, or even for that matter, tier four markets, are going to be one no, going to be focus areas for us. It's not just, in fact, geographies, but we also want to get into the newer segments where we see there is a huge kind of opportunity. for not just building relevance for life insurance, but also pretty much building right products for the right categories. As I mentioned, there are very specific products and marketing efforts that we have done in the last year. Pilots that have given us good success, whether it's student, whether it's Gen Zs, and or it's even working women. We are going to scale up some of these efforts across these segments and try and gather good market share around some of these segments. Secondly, I also mentioned earlier that for a life insurance business, there is a huge play of major acquisition cost, and will continue to be on how do we really optimize those acquisition costs, whether it is from Gen AI pilots to basically scaled up model, not just in content creation, but also in consumer targeting and consumer insights. We have been able to develop a model which is called voice to text, in which we are able to listen to the customer concerns while they are talking to our call center executives. We're able to reconcile some of the insights and kind of play around some of the marketing propositions that we offer to them. These are being tailored as we speak, and we are going to see a lot many other experiments that will happen in this area. And Gen AI is going to help us, optimize our costs and also build efficiencies. Third, I think there is a need for further simplification, familiarity, and building authenticity in the category, and which is where our entire celeb to influencer model will come into play. We do believe that, and we've seen some good results in the previous years, that how celebrities help us build top of the funnel, build that conviction in the product category, also build a conviction in the brand's kind of strength to certain influencers who are going to help us drive scale in certain tiered markets and also simplify life insurance concepts for us. I think those are the some of the pilots that we're going to further scale up in the coming years, and see how they kind of pan out. So these are some of the major things that we are being focusing on, whether it's making life insurance diversified for multiple segments, or making our interactions personalized for certain segments, being a little more intuitive from the insights that we gather, and also, as I mentioned, the keyword trust building, enhancing some of these efforts, building the trust in Axis Max Life Insurance for the long run.